Imagine closing on a dream home only to find out thousands of dollars in repairs. Scary, right? Well, today we're going to be talking about home inspection, the first line of defense against unexpected issues that can drain your wallet. Welcome to Rima's Talk Show. Today we're going to be talking about home inspection. I've got John with Home Check, who's a pro at home inspection. Thank you, John, for coming on and letting my clients know what home inspection, why it is important. First of all, can you introduce yourself and how long you've been doing the business?
So my name is John Nunez. I started Home Check Inspection Group almost 5 years ago. Actually started as Austin Home Check. And then we grew pretty fast and, had to expand out of Austin. So now we're, in San Antonio, Killeen. So now it's just Home Check because Austin Home Check doesn't work in other places. But yeah, I've been doing it for about 5 years now, almost 5 years.
5 years. And I remember meeting you probably a few years ago. And then now you have expanded your team also, right? Because you've been getting so busy with the home inspection.
We have. So now we have, including myself, we have 7 inspectors on staff. And then my wife recently joined the team too to handle all the office work and, payroll and all that stuff, the stuff that I don't really like to do, marketing and all that stuff. So she takes care of all that.
Oh gosh, that's wonderful. So first of all, John, can you tell me what home inspection is?
Yeah, so home inspections are just a review of a house when someone's buying the house, or really like the major systems, major components of a house, so from the foundation up to the roof, attic, electrical, plumbing, stuff like that. So we'll go in there and we'll just kind of make sure that the house is in good shape and safe shape. And that's the biggest thing of it. There's a lot of cosmetic things. No house is ever perfect. But we're not really focusing on those things. It's more like the bigger stuff, water intrusion, things like that, foundation problems.
Now, that's good. But then I know you guys do home inspections. Usually these are done before somebody is moving in or during the, before closing during the inspection period. Is there any other inspection times you recommend versus selling or buying a home?
That's different from selling or buying a home. Really just like checkups on a home too. When we do a lot of inspections for buyers, the house is older and we find a ton of stuff. If those people weren't selling the house, those houses would still have those issues. So I think it's good to get one maybe every 5 years or so, just to at least check on the house. It might have shifted, it might have settled. There might be some things that, the AC is not working as well as it should, even though it is kind of blowing some cold air, that we can kind of go in and evaluate that stuff. But the two biggest ones are the buyers, and then the second biggest one is when sellers do it, which is really important too.
Yeah, for the sellers also. I know sellers may think we don't need to do a home inspection before they put the property on for sale, but as an agent, I also highly recommend it if you can, because that way you know what the repairs or what it main issues might come up, right?
That way it's not a surprise, because I've seen homes where, the seller doesn't do anything. They're going to wait for the buyer's inspection. And then the buyer sends it in and, you need a whole roof replacement that the seller had no idea about because obviously they don't get on the roof.
Yeah.
And that I've seen that kill a deal, So imagine if they had got an inspection before, they could have seen that before, either fixed it or maybe repaired or replaced it, and then not lost the buyer, and things like that. Sometimes it's just like little tune-ups too, like your AC works, but not as well as it should, which the buyer's going to call out. And then you have the opportunity to fix that stuff cheaper than, when the agent asks for thousands of dollars, it probably only would have cost a few hundred to fix on your end.
Yes. No, because when they're doing a negotiation and then the agent is asking for repairs, I've seen double or triple the amount that they're asking versus just get it done and fix it by yourself.
And people don't know that, so they think, when the agent asks for that much, they're like, oh, well, that's probably the price of it. I don't know. Whereas if you had time and you're not in such of a rush because you have a short option or whatever, and it has to get done right away, you at least can, find it cheaper or, get someone else to do it that can do it, save you some money.
That's true. So I would say it's a smart move on the seller to get that done sooner versus the buyers doing that in the closing time. Yeah,
absolutely. And the buyer's going to get it anyway.
Exactly.
But at least this way you're not surprised and you're more prepared for the negotiation.
And then the other thing is it's there up front. You can tell the buyers, hey, we've done the inspection. We know what's wrong with it. And
it builds credibility, trust, stuff like that for sure.
Now, the other question I have from the buyers is, when you're doing a home inspection, do you recommend for a buyer to be there and talk about the
Yes and
inspection
no.
report?
Yes and
Okay.
no. So we do recommend they show up, but at the end. So it takes us about 2.5 to 3 hours to do most homes. And we have our routine. We go through every house the exact same way. So when someone's there at the beginning, or even throughout the whole inspection, and they're following us and asking us questions, it can get distracting, and that's when there's a possibility that we might miss something because we get kind of pulled away and got to go show some stuff. So we prefer they show up at the end to get the review. Some folks will even show up and say, "Hey, I'm not going to bother you. Do your thing. I'm going to be over here." But even then, like in the back of my mind, our mind, nobody wants to keep a client waiting. So even though you're not bothering me and interrupting me and things like that, I still know you're here. And in my mind, I need to try to speed up. And it increases the pressure and a little bit of the stress, even though they're there not even talking to me. So we always recommend, we'll tell them a time, we're going to start at 9 o'clock, show up around 11:30. We'll be finishing up around then. I'm happy to walk you through the house then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like, for me, I feel like my buyers are always happy when they're walking through the whole house and knowing what's exactly wrong when they're doing the home inspection. It kind of tells them what they need to be really particularly concerned about.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest issues that you found that you say to the buyers that, hey, this really needs to be addressed before closing?
Yeah. So we find things, structural problems, foundation problems. Sometimes you don't always see structural problems. So one of the things that we do when we evaluate the foundation is we take measurements of the foundation. And there's been a house where it was like 6 inches off, but you didn't see really any indicators. That could be very, very costly. So things like that, we bring it to their attention, and then now you have power to negotiate and say, hey, your house needs this many thousands of dollars worth of work. Can you come, let's figure out a way to get the price down or something. Or things like, leaks. One of the bigger safety things that we found even a few times was like your heater exhaust pipe disconnected in the attic, and we've even seen like the decking under it's like charred, so fortunate that the house didn't burn down, things like that, like big safety items, and even little safety items like smoke detectors missing, carbon monoxide detectors missing, those things are very, very important. They just weren't like a standard, in older homes that are like they are now, but things like that.
Have you found anything that the buyers did not want to do an inspection, they regretted it later? Have they ever come up to you in that situation?
Sometimes, not so much. Once they decide not to, they don't ever really reach back out too much. So the only time that really happens is with like 11-month warranties.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of those, and sometimes people don't get an inspection pre-closing. They wait for the 11-month. And then we find some crazy things on the 11th month. And we're like, should have got one before, we could have, because it's some safety stuff. We found like undersized wires and things like that, that really could have been fixed beforehand.
So that's leading more towards our new construction home inspection that we're going to be talking about. Is clients think, it's a perfect home. It's brand new.
Yeah.
Why would I want to spend $400, $500 on a home inspection?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Because it's built by people. People, nobody's perfect. The builders aren't perfect. The inspectors that they hire aren't perfect. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that are missed. There's going to be things that, someone thinks got done, but didn't actually get done. Sometimes inspectors, when they come through, the builders inspectors, they, pass them to the next phase with conditions. Hey, I'm going to pass you on this inspection. You can go on to the next phase, but make sure you fix this stuff first.
Yeah.
And if they don't fix that, nobody re-inspects it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've found new construction homes that are pre-closing that the person's going to move in a week, where the flue's disconnected, trusses are broken in the attic, big structural things, electrical wires are either undersized or not even, they're loose. Recently we found a lot of dryer vents with the wrong roof vent. It's just going to clog. And that's a big fire hazard too, and those are, we found a couple just last week.
Oh my God.
So even skipping it at the beginning and then getting that at the 11th month, that's a long time in between that something can happen that's really bad.
Because the house is still settling, right? That there can be a lot of movement with the new construction within the first year.
Yep.
And it's covered. Why not get a
Yeah.
home inspection done?
Yeah.
Because the warranty is there by the builder.
The way I see it is, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home. The builder's getting their inspections, but even those inspections too, they're like targeted. They're like, they're only looking at certain things,
Yeah.
not like the whole house,
Yeah.
or very specific things. So for how much you're spending,
Yes.
an inspection doesn't cost that much,
We didn't talk about the price point. Do you know roughly how
Yeah.
much does it cost?
Yeah, so every inspector is different. Every company charges what they want, but roughly for most homes, you're talking about homes like under $3,000, or 3,000 square feet. Sorry, around $350 to $550.
Yeah.
That kind of runs the spectrum, but it also depends on the company, what extra services or what services they include, what they don't include. Some of the lower end companies that charge maybe $350 or so, they might be newer inspectors trying to break in, or they might not do certain things, like they might not include sprinklers or foundation measurements or thermal scanning. They just don't include all the extra stuff. And then some of the ones that charge a little bit more might, give you a more thorough inspection as well.
What you just said, thermal scanning. A lot of people may not know what that is.
Yeah.
Can you kind of go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so we have a camera that we scan the walls and the ceilings with, and basically it just finds temperature differences. So hot spots, cold spots. So it helps us find leaks. A lot of times when we're inspecting a house, one of the things that we do is we fill up all the sinks and tubs with water, and then we drain them. So that water is either really cold or really hot, depending on the temperature that we set it to. And once it drains, we'll scan the ceiling, the walls, because you'll be able to see that behind there.
Yeah.
But you can also see like insulation missing.
Yeah.
You can see if it's cold inside and it's hot outside, you can see squares of insulation just missing in the walls and stuff like that. So helps us find that.
With the new construction especially, right, you found a lot of that.
Yep.
So another reason
Another reason.
to get a home inspection for only, $300 to $500, you guys, they're
Yep.
spending thousands of dollars
Thousands.
on these
Hundreds of thousands.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why not? And then you want to get somebody to your side. The builder is going to be for the builder. They're just building a home for you.
Yeah. They're building to their standards.
Exactly.
And so they don't check different things. So for example, like the insulation that they put on a house, then they get an insulation inspection. Well, then the drywall people come in, and the insulation's, in their way. They just pull it out sometimes and hang the drywall up. Well, no one's going to see that because they've already passed their insulation inspection. It was there when they passed it, and now it's not there because it was in somebody's way.
Yeah.
So things like that just get missed, that no one would catch
Nobody knows.
unless you did an inspection.
And that's also with new construction. Does that also happen in the older home? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, older homes, there's going to be lower insulation, but a lot of times, there's people that have stored stuff in the attic, or they've changed. They've got a new AC system up there, so insulation got moved around or things like that. They maybe have pests.
Yeah.
Took the insulation for nesting and stuff like that. So we can see all that stuff, and they just recommend, hey, blow some more insulation on there.
So that does happen. Like, this is a brand new construction home, but down the years, do you see that go fading away? Is that what you're saying right now, the insulation?
Well, because of gravity, it's just going to be pushing it down.
Okay.
And the R value is what is like the insulative value. The thicker it is, the better the R value. Just over time, gravity is just going to flatten it. And it wasn't nowadays. You need 13, 15 or more inches of insulation. In the old days, the standard was maybe like 7 or 10 or less. So it's starting less to begin with, and then with gravity pushing it down even more, you're just losing all that insulation.
What is the biggest concern
With insulation? The how it feels in the house. Your AC is blowing cold air, but it's just going to be leaving just as fast as it blows in. So
higher cost in your
higher
AC bill.
cost, temperature, it doesn't feel as good. Your unit's going to be running all the time, so it can break down faster, things like that.
So it's very important to get that inspection in the new construction home, making sure they put the insulation there, because I've had pretty much all the reports that I've done had some kind of insulation issues.
It's always missing somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little spot or something like that, it can always be improved.
And not only that, I remember when the builders are back in the day, the builders used to put it in the garages, right? The clients might not know that, and they might have not got an inspection, and it's all missed, but they already paid for that. So you're losing money on that when it's not done, because they may think you might never catch that.
Yeah. Or it could be some people pay for upgrades. I want to insulate my interior walls or insulate my garage when they normally don't now.
Yeah.
And so if they don't pay, if they paid for that and there's no way to check it, then you just gave money away.
You just gave money away.
Yeah.
Yep. Making the builder more richer.
Yeah. They already have enough money. And they don't need any free money.
Exactly. The other thing with the new construction, and maybe even resale, I don't know if this will fall under, is you said you did one of the sewer inspections. You guys do that too, right?
Yep.
Like, what is that?
So sewer camera inspection, it's a sewer scope. So what we do is we go through the clean out in the yard, and we'll run a camera, both ways. So we'll go underneath the house as far as you can go. A lot of times we're going to hit the toilet somewhere at the back of the house. And then we'll go the other way to the city side. And we recommend it in 4 situations. So older homes, obviously, you might have, cast iron, dated materials, stuff like that. Homes that have mature trees in the front yard, so some maybe not super duper old homes, but maybe homes in the 80s or 90s that have big trees. Those tree roots can break the pipes and you don't even know. Homes with previous foundation repair, so if you move the foundation, we got to check the pipes, make sure the pipes didn't get broken. And believe it or not, new construction, because those pipes are just left open and all kinds of stuff gets in there. We've seen tons of rocks, we've seen caulking tubes, beer bottles, we've seen all kinds of stuff in there.
How would somebody even know there's a problem once they've closed on a home?
In terms of the sewer?
I
mean, there's the easiest way to find out is you start getting the backup, which is terrible. If they didn't get a sewer inspection, if we get a sewer inspection, we'll find it and say, hey, they need to clean that out before you close. But, if you got something blocking, even the pipe partially, as they put more stuff in there, it'll just keep catching. And then eventually there's nowhere for that to drain. It's just going to back into the house, which is not going to be.
And that's an extra cost to get that done, right? With the inspections and separate.
Yep. So for us, we charge $225 to do that. And, we found some crazy things, even under construction, even broken pipes, that have really saved people headaches, because if they discover it soon enough, like if they discover it in the first year, the builder would fix it. But sometimes the way to discover it is you got sewage backing up in your
That's
house.
the only way, right?
Yeah.
Like, how else would you know if you've not done?
Yeah. So they'll fix it, but you still have all this headache to deal with. Yeah. Whereas if it could have been done at the beginning, then it's good.
I know we had one of the properties that had came in, had that issue, and I don't think they had done the sewer inspection.
Yeah.
And then I think it was at the 11th month, right?
They found it.
They found it.
Yeah.
And then we had to tell the builder, and they had to come out and block the whole street and dig a big hole. And
I've seen them dig underneath the house, like so much so that someone can walk underneath the house to fix the pipe. You know, and then move out. So that definitely compromises potentially the structure. Just major stuff.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So do you? I mean, obviously, as an inspector, you probably would recommend it. But do you think is it absolutely necessary, or when do you think that they should go and do the sewer? I
personally think they should do it every single time. But really in those 4 instances, like absolutely. I know it's new construction and everything should be good, but there's stuff in pipes. All that debris is gonna be there. So definitely in those 4 situations, but really anytime, because the worst feeling to have is that regret. I should have done it. I should have done it. And when you do it and it's clean, great. Now you can sleep easier, breathe easier, and be confident that your home is good. But if you don't do it and then something happens, it's always worse, because you feel like, oh, I should have done that. And then you're kind of mad at yourself and stuff like that. So we always recommend it, but it's really up to folks, and because it is an added feature, an added cost. So it's really up to them if they want to do it, but we always recommend it.
Okay. Can you just tell me the bullet points on inspection report, what you guys have? I know you said pest and then you do the insulation. Can you just do bullet points and what are the items that you guys check?
Yeah, so we check, starting with the structure, we'll check the foundation, the roof, the attic. So as much as we can, like 9 times out of 10, we can get on top of the roof. So we'll get up there and check from the top. The attic, so we'll check your framing, your insulation, and then coming down into the house, all the walls, inside and out, the doors, the windows. So we open and close every door and window. We check every plug and switch throughout the house, check your appliances in the kitchen, every light switch and everything. We run your air conditioner and heating and cooling to make sure that it's working properly, not just blowing cold air, but there's temperature differentials at the kind of an industry standard of how it's supposed to work. We check that. We check your water heater. We thermal scan the home, checking for leaks, and insulation issues. We do the sprinkler system, your garage door, all your plumbing stuff. So we'll fill up all the sinks and tubs with water. We'll check your water pressure, looking for leaks and other things like that too. Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
It is pretty comprehensive. Yeah. It's good to know the bullet points and exactly what you guys do, so the buyers or whoever wants to get that done, that they know the overall what an inspection is and what you guys look for.
Yeah.
My last question, well, it might be, I don't even know if you have an answer to this. What is the scariest thing that you've seen that would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars, or you found and the sellers might have hid it? Is there anything that...
We don't find so much where they hide things. Sometimes they do, but we tend to find it. The things draw our eye. If I see, in the garage, everything's on this side, then I'm like, why is what's it covering? So I might move around and look, or, we lift up rugs and stuff too in the bathrooms, carpets, just to kind of make sure things aren't under there. So scariest things, I think, I think the most scariest, just those disconnected flues in the that have the charring, where it's like just a miracle that the house didn't burn down, because if it was colder for longer and they ran their heat that much, who knows what would have happened, things like that. Something scary that someone might not have known about was the foundation that was 6 inches off. Because when you see cracks in a wall, it's because the foundation is kind of like bending. So the differential settlement, so when it bends, it'll crack and pull. But if it doesn't bend and it just kind of tilts like that, you might not see anything. But it can be very, very, very costly when you do finally discover it. And by then you've already closed on the house and you're like, oh gosh, I need $30,000 or $50,000 to repair. So things like that, like, oh, the house looks beautiful, I don't see any cracks.
I need an
inspection. Well, it's tilted. So you might still you might want to get it, So yeah, things like that. We've been hearing about, scary stories that just carbon monoxide simple detectors missing, and the garage door that doesn't close all the way. You have a car with carbon monoxide fumes. If you remote start the next morning, those are very scary things that a $30 device can save,
That's true. Even for safety of the kids, you need to make sure that it's, it's easy. You think that, it doesn't have it's important to make sure.
Yeah. So those are things that, we go in and we do this for a living. So we're in a ton of houses every day. So, we know what to look for. The majority of people, they have other jobs, like they're experts in their field. So they're not experts on everything in regards to a home, so that's where we come in. And it's really important for us to get in there and do a good job for folks, because they're spending a lot of money and they're really relying on our opinion, to give them, to make that decision for them. It's an investment sometimes. And we just want to make sure that we do right by people by getting in there and being very, very thorough.
Very important. And overall, anything else you want to add on that the buyers or the viewers may?
I would say, when you're thinking about inspectors, one, always get an inspection. Never skip the inspection. Even if it's a competitive, option period where I'm going to put a 2-day option, we can, we have 7 inspectors. We can usually get in there the first day, sometimes even the same day. So don't let that be a reason to bypass an inspection. Always get it, because you never know. And then 2, don't just try to go for the cheapest, inspector, because you're spending so much money. Don't just go for the cheapest one, because a lot of times you're not going to get as much either quality or as much added on, maybe like the sprinklers or other things like that, zip level foundation measurements. And a lot of times, they're newer people kind of breaking into the business, so do your research. If you're looking for inspection companies, look and see, when did they get licensed? What kind of certifications do they have? Look at sample reports, look at customer reviews, all that stuff. They should be able to provide that, and then make a decision based on that. And you'll be in better shape because of it if you do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For coming on and talking about the home inspection.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, that was all things related to home inspection. I hope you guys learned a little bit about the value of getting a home inspection on a resale or a new construction home. Not only that, but we forgot to mention that if you're in contract and you do repair requests and the seller is doing all the repairs, you can have the home inspector go out there and make sure all the repairs are done the way they should be in the right manner. So they also offer that service, which is very valuable to all the buyers before the closing. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned something, and we will see you next time.